Hello everyone, artist Charles Wolf here. Today we are going to be painting a beautiful little landscape painting titled Verdant Mountains. This piece is great for beginners. It's not too difficult to do. A few simple techniques. So all you need is a few paints. Here is my palette now. Titanium white, cadmium yellow, raw umber, and cobalt blue. You may notice that I have some red and black on my palette there. I don't actually need to use those colors today. Didn't end up using them in this painting, even though I put them out, so don't worry about having those colors out. You don't need them. All you need is the white, the yellow, the brown, and the blue, and that is enough for this painting. I'm going to start out today with an angle brush, a small angle brush. I'm painting on an 8 by 10 inch canvas board, great for practicing on those canvas boards. And I am creating this little work quickly. So to start out and to begin, I'm going to create the horizon line, and then from the left hand side, pulling down, create some diagonal stripes across the piece, forming the edge of these layers for the mountain that's coming down towards me. I'm going to mix together a little bit of raw umber into that pale green mixture. That pale green, by the way, is created with some blue, some yellow, and a little bit of the white. I'm adding a good deal of water to my acrylic paints today to thin them out. I want this to run across the canvas smoothly and to blend, and even some of that white is showing through the thin layers of paint. Add some cobalt blue to my mixture. That blue is going to darken this foreground a little bit, add a little more yellow to that mixture, and my first goal is to get a nice base layer of paint on there and cover up the foreground, sort of forming my basic composition. You get your compositional lines in first, and then you can bring in the details after that. This is the underpainting for the piece. A lot of the underpainting is going to be showing through in this style, but we do want to have a good coverage with the paint. Thin it out if you need it to run and blend better, but we don't want to be applying too much paint or too thickly for this painting today. Here is some green mixture, cobalt blue and cadmium yellow mixed together. Might be a touch of the white still on that brush, and that's okay. And we're going to form a darker line here to really push the background further back. It's lighter in the distance, and so it's going to be darker closer to us. I'm borrowing this technique from concept art. Concept art often does this where things in the distance are lighter than things closer to you. This is true in nature as well if you're looking out over a big landscape. So this can often happen where things farther away can be lighter than what's in front of you. Being more subtle here than a concept art piece. In a concept painting, I might use blacks for the foreground and really push the contrast. Today, I'm going to be more subtle, but it's a similar idea and a similar approach. A little more of that yellow now, kind of a dirty yellow. Blending together here with my angle brush. Make that transition a little bit smoother. Okay, next we're going to clean the brush and grab some titanium white with a bit of the cobalt blue. I'm going to go in here and put in the mountains next, using a very light blue color. Dash of the green in there, but mostly blue to start. For this part, I'm going to paint rather quickly. I really want to get the color on there fresh, and then to paint some other colors on top of it while it's still there so it blends a little bit. I'm also blending down into the green, just a touch. I'm going to have the mountain be the tallest on the left-hand side and have it sort of fade away into the distance on the right. immediately going into the green mix before that blue is settled in, and start to blend it upwards to make a smoother transition from the grass there and those mountains. I'm going to take a dab of the water and just to blend this together a little bit smoother. Now that's a little bit too much water and I got some runs there. I'll fix that in just a moment. I felt like I lost a little bit of the light background layer where I had the sun hitting the distant field, and I want to recover that for sure. Here is some cadmium yellow mixed with a titanium white, and we'll put in this lighter layer back in the distance and push those mountains farther back into the space. Dot in a few highlights here and there. Right now this foreground looks very simple, and when we add in the trees to define the layers better, it will all start to make more sense. Putting a little bit of brown here in the left hand corner. Next we're going to take a round brush and start to put in the sky. You can see here that I am making a twirling and dabbing motion with my round brush. That lets me get some wonderful shapes, holding the brush near the end so that I get the bristles really moving for this section. I want to blend this together smoothly, and I'm trying to have subtle gradations with that blue. I have a brand new light that I'm using for this painting today, a new softbox light, which helps get everything to be a lot clearer on camera, which I'm excited about. It's a little harder to see the whites. They are a little bit overblown due to the proximity of the new light. I'll try to adjust that in future videos if I can. You can see how that blue is intermingling with the white, creating some fluffy cloud shapes. You'll be able to see it better at the very end of the video, where I show you the final piece. Next we're going to go back to our green mix here, a little bit darker because there's more blue in that brush, and we're going to start to bring back in these mountains and make them a little bit bigger. I feel like I wanted them to be a little bit taller. Because I have white in the sky, automatically adds perspective. The blue-green mix blends with that white and lightens it up, and that happens instantly. I don't have to do anything special. Immediately softens it and pushes it back farther into the distance. Here is a fan brush with a green mix with a touch more of the blue. I'm going to put a few little ridge lines here where some trees are dotted. This is a simple approach to creating trees, and I'm just dabbing with the very ends of my bristles. I'm focusing on taking the corner of that fan brush, and I'm going to try to hit the corner of it a little bit more strongly in just a second. First, kind of dot in where I want these ridge lines to be. Grab a little more paint, more of the blue, more of the yellow, and we'll start to put these in a little stronger. I'm just sort of dabbing and pushing upwards with those bristles, letting them bend. In the distance, they'll be a little bit smaller, and as they get closer to us, they should get bigger. These are the tops of the trees, and I'm just putting the impression of them. I'm not painting each little branch and twig or anything like that, just giving the general impression of the shape. If you give the impression of the shape, the viewer will fill in the detail with their eyes. Not having to paint trunks or anything, just putting the tops of the trees in a suggestive way, and automatically you can imagine them and you can see them there on the tops of this hill. A few of those rounded ones I create with the corner of my brush, and I'm going for sort of an upside down U shape with these trees to create the tops of the foliage. Here is some yellow, bringing back in that angle brush just to put some more highlights, more of the yellow and the white mixed together for these closer highlights where the sun is hitting down on these hills. It's all about contrast, and the more contrast you have, the more things will pop, especially here in the front. As things get farther away, they're going to blend together more, but close up there should be a lot of contrast, I think. Back to my green mix with the fan brush, and this is where I really made it a lot darker at first. We're going to back it off again with a few more strokes of our angle brush in just a moment with that yellow mixture. You can do it either way. You can have this really dark clump right on the corner if you like that, or you can back it off like I do and add some more contrast lines and make these trees a little bit smaller. It's really up to you. Put as many layers or as few layers as you would like on this hill. And with that, we are basically done. Hope that you enjoyed this painting lesson and found it useful. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought, and I will be back very soon with another painting lesson.